Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I am your host, Mike Bierman, and I am joined by my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman, and our pop culture aficionado, Shane Christian Cunningham. Fellas, today on the show, we have Mike Shinoda, co-founder of Linkin Park, now a solo artist. He has an album out right now everywhere called Post-Traumatic. Get it? Listen to it. We're going to be talking with him in a bit. There's a lot to talk about, obviously, as we set him up, because Linkin Park obviously has had a very tragic recent past. So we will get into that stuff in a bit. But before we get to that, guys, what has been going on?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm really fucking sorry. I really fucked up this episode. And
What?
Well, because it would have been awesome if I didn't fucking call you this morning.
Oh, yes, true.
I'm such a fucking
Why'd you
fool.
do that?
Because I was so excited.
Okay, well, our listeners still don't know.
So this is what happened. So we went out to see Chromeo last night.
We did. With our friend Dan Hamilton. Oh, first, off the top, I have to say, we were with Dan Hamilton last night, and last week's episode of the pod came up, and specifically the joke about Scarlett, who just had Tony's baby.
Tony in our band,
going for the EGOT, the Tony, and the Oscar, and Dan Hamilton, it was his joke.
We gave credit to somebody else for the joke.
I said I couldn't remember who said it.
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was,
Dan
so
Hamilton
Dan was like, that was me, and he made a mention of it in the Uber. I was like, do you want me to bring that up on the pod we're recording tomorrow? He's like, no. And I'm like, I'll do it. He's
but he did it. So we went out to Chromeo last night. It was a great night. We went out afterward. Nothing particularly eventful happened, but I crashed at Dan Hamilton's place because I've subletted my Toronto apartment.
Not because you and Lauren have broken up.
No, we're still good. I woke up in the morning. I get in the elevator to go down to Starbucks. And it's your building, too. You guys live in the same apartment.
That's correct.
And for reasons that you'll understand in about, a minute, I'm not going to tell you the address of that apartment building.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. So I get into the elevator, and there's just one guy standing there. And I'm like, holy fuck, is that who I think it is? And he's wearing sunglasses. So I just look over, and he's like clearly not looking at me. He has sunglasses on in an elevator. And I just go, Bill? And he's like, hey. Hello, Maxie. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's not Bill Cosby.
I get why he's wearing sunglasses. I didn't know in Canada.
What you want? A cookie?
I love how anyone can do a Bill Cosby.
Everybody's got a bad Bill Cosby. Yeah. It's actually really fun to do.
It's fun. It was Bill Hader.
Whoa.
Of SNL. And it was shocking because Bill Hader's obviously a famous American actor. And what the fuck is he doing at, 10 a.m. in Toronto in some random condo building?
Yeah.
So I go, Bill? He's like, oh, hey. I was so nervous. My heart started to pound. I don't usually get that nervous around celebrities, but I'm a big Bill Hader fan. Like, I obviously love him on SNL, but Documentary Now series is great. All his bit parts and like all the comedies he's been in.
He's got that new show out on HBO.
Well, this is it. So I try to think, I'm like, okay, what's the coolest fucking thing I can say to this guy right now? I have, 30 seconds in an elevator with him. So I just go like, I love Barry, which is his new show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, you've seen that? I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I saw 2 episodes.
Good?
And it's really good. I highly recommend it. I just haven't gotten around to seeing the rest of it. But it's a really good show. It's on HBO. He plays a hitman. It's really
That's
good.
right.
He's like, oh, do you live here? And then I'm like, no, but I do a podcast.
It's a good segue. That's decent.
He's like, and I'm preparing for a podcast right now. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, we're filming the sequel to It.
Oh, yeah, that was Mike's prediction.
That was my guess.
Yeah. And I was like, how long are you going to be here for? And he's like till September or something. So he's going to be around for a while.
All summer.
And then I'm thinking, so we're kind of getting in the elevator. He's like, oh, yeah, by the way, what's your name? I'm like, Max. Just like no context or anything. I'm like, we have a mutual friend. I'm like, do you know Tim McAuliffe? He's a comedy writer in LA.
Wow. Max thinking on his feet.
He's like, oh, yeah. I was like, Last Man on Earth? He's like, oh, yeah, I think he knows my ex-wife, I think. Yeah.
Bill Hader got divorced? What?
Yeah. Actually, I looked it up. 2018, I guess it just happened. So then I was like, I loved your podcast with Simmons. I just like blurted that at him because he was on Bill Simmons' podcast. And he was like,
how long was this elevator ride?
Off at the 10th floor.
No, I mean, I squeezed a lot of stuff into our like minute. And so
I'm impressed with the speed at which your brain
going
works.
down though,
We're
right?
going down. He was in the elevator. So he's above floor 9.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we leave.
Shit.
and
He might be on my floor.
He might be on your floor. And then there's a black SUV waiting for him, and he just gets right into it.
He didn't offer you a ride?
No, he did not. But then I just turned left for some reason because I was so excited. And the first thing I did was just call you.
Yeah.
I was like, guess who I met? And then as soon as we had the conversation, I was like, fuck, why didn't I wait to tell you live on the podcast?
Well, I got here early this morning because Shane was shooting a pickup for a thing that you will be seeing eventually. That's the tease for you. So I came in and your baby and your wife were here. We were in
It
the
was
studio.
10 a.m., Mike, so not that early.
Well, again, I was at Chromeo last night, bro. So that was pretty fucking early for me. And Max calls and he's like, guess who I just saw in your elevator?
Yeah.
And so like I was like, OG Ananobi?
Yeah.
Because
he's different world.
Yeah, he's like different world because for those of you that don't, he's trying to raptor. And then I kept going through. I was like, music, blah, blah, blah. And then he just told me, and I was like, whoa. And then he didn't know I was standing with you, Shane, in his studio. So then I told Shane.
Yeah.
And Shane goes, whoa. And then Max goes, oh, shit. And I went, what? He goes, I should have saved it for the pod. Yeah. And then I got mad. I was like, yeah, you could have had a genuine moment.
We're talking in 2 hours. You could hold in.
Yeah, that is a crazy move.
Yeah.
And also, were you tempted to mention Arkells? Like, hey, I'm a huge celebrity.
Great question.
No. He wouldn't know.
What do you mean you went right to the podcast, though?
But I figured that might be more interesting to him.
See, I don't think so. Because I think then he would think, fuck, this guy's going to ask me to be on the pod. If you said, yeah, I live in this building and I'm a musician, he's going to immediately think,
oh, maybe he's cool.
And then he would look up you know what you do? You fucking tweet at him from Arkells and go,
I don't think he has Twitter. I already looked it up.
All right.
And I was about
What
to
about
add
Instagram?
it, believe me. I don't think he has Instagram.
Wouldn't you love if the elevator opened up and a bunch of university students came in? And we're like, Max, oh my God. And they were going nuts over you. And Bill was like, what the hell?
That would have been the best.
Perfect timing.
That would have been, maybe I should have mentioned, but what do you say? I'm in a relatively famous Canadian band. What am I going to say?
Yeah.
But I guess if I said I'm a musician, that might be cool.
Listen, I'm impressed with how many polls you managed to get on that elevator of references to his work.
Oh man! But then I left. I was like, man, I should have mentioned Documentary Now because I love Documentary Now. Have you guys watched that?
No.
Oh, it's the best.
What is
Fred
it?
Armisen and Bill Hader have this fake documentary series.
It's like if you saw a documentary on Fleetwood Mac, like a music doc, the way it would be done, they will do that.
Like it's how Andy Samberg did it for the 30 for 30s.
for the sports docs.
Yeah,
Right.
so this is like the top 50 documentaries of all time, and they're ripping off other famous documentaries. So there's one that's sort of like loosely based on Talking Heads, like being like an art rock band from New York City in the 80s, and like Bill Hader's like the bassist. It's like, but they have one that's based on the Eagles as well, and it's fucking hilarious. Anyway, that's another sort of deep cut because everyone's like, I saw you in what's the Amy Schumer movie, like whatever,
Yeah,
like,
Trainwreck.
That's what most people would recognize him for. But if you go for like the cooler ones, you probably have more respect. So anyway, this all leads me to ask you guys, how much do we stalk Bill Hader and try to get him onto the podcast?
Fuck. I mean, he's going to be here for the summer. I might see him on the roof eating a steak or something.
Yeah.
You could put a sign in the elevator.
Could you imagine?
No, just Mike on Much flyers. So it gets in his head like, oh, this thing's fucking big,
Just
right?
subconsciously in his head.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I was so nervous.
We have to be able to get him, though.
He's around. Shit.
He's here till September.
There's got to be somebody we can reach out to. You know what? I'll talk to our girl Sarah McLaren because obviously HBO Canada carries Barry. There could be a connection there.
Boom, yeah. Listen, man, I'm hungover and excited right now.
Is that Jamaican?
Lethal combination,
Yeah, I don't know
man.
what that
Hungover and excited.
Yeah.
You know what, though? Also from my notes last night before we drank all the vodka in Toronto at Chromeo, Shane told me to bring up Scotiabank.
Okay.
He texted me that last night.
Well, I just wanted to know why. I understand why people have an attachment to the Sky Dome.
Yeah.
Because Sky Dome, everyone grew up with the Sky Dome, and it's not affiliated with any corporation.
I hear you.
So it's like, oh, like that's just a name.
I know where you're going with this.
But a lot of people seem to care about the ACC now being called the Scotiabank Theatre.
I have some thoughts on this. So for our listeners, maybe your American listeners, here in Canada, in Toronto specifically, the Blue Jays used to play in a thing called the Sky Dome, and then Rogers bought it, a big corporation. They call it the Rogers Centre. A lot of Torontonians are like, fuck it, I'm still calling it the Sky Dome for life. We still do it, all of us. Recently, Scotiabank bought the naming rights to the Air Canada Centre, which was built, I believe, in 1999. So again, like you said, it started out as a corporate name sake. Air Canada, obviously, is our airline or one of the airlines here in Canada. It is now the Scotiabank Arena. And there has been a backlash. People are like, ACC for life. The only thing I can think of, to your point, is two things. One, people are nostalgic. It's whatever it was called first, they're going to want to call it that for the rest of their life. They don't like change. People don't like change. Two, Scotiabank doesn't really mean any, like, so for instance, when the Raptors are playing on ESPN in the States and they play at the Air Canada Center, the name Canada is at least in the name. Even though it's like a corporation, like, you know, like Vince Carter being called Air Canada, he played at the Air Canada Center, like his nickname. It all worked mainly because we had the name of our country within the name. So when international teams would play in the NHL or in the NBA, you knew that, oh, that arena's in Canada. Now it's very generic, just like any of the other 29 arenas in the NBA.
Do you think nostalgia is so strong, though, that if it went from the Scotiabank, what's it called, Scotiabank
Arena
to Air Canada Center, people would still be up in arms?
I think that, yeah, there would be some people that just don't like change. But I think other people would justify
I like the
it.
Air Canada theory, though, and I think that is right because people love hearing where they're from. Like if you hear Toronto in a movie or something, it's all exciting. So I think that's a good theory. What about you, Max?
Yeah, I agree with all that with the nostalgia factor. I wonder though, if it was the opposite, if it was Scotia Air Canada, the backlash would be slightly less because the name Canada's in it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you guys, are you comfortable when things change like that?
No, I hate change.
Right. So it's like if they renamed Queen Street, for instance, to King Street.
I'm very bad with street names as it is, so don't change any names.
Yeah, I don't think I care that much about it.
I think that within a year it'll be the Scotiabank Arena. Like I don't think people will stick to ACC the way that they stuck to Skydome. But I could be wrong.
Well, we get a little insight from the Nut because the Nut is in charge of these brand partnerships, and so he's always telling us like what's going on in the deals and what things are worth. And this is public information, so I don't think we're throwing the
you
nut
could look
under
it
the
up.
bus. You could look under the nut. Look under the nut. You could.
Just don't know what you'll find.
Yeah, yeah. You could. Look it up to see what Scotia paid to have the naming rights. But I find that to be like fascinating. Just like that, some companies will pay like millions upon millions of dollars to have their name on something.
Here's a question: do you think that we as a society have become far more comfortable, even in the last 5 years, maybe, of the idea that everything's for sale? Can anyone be a sellout anymore?
No,
I
don't think so.
I don't think anybody can be a sellout. And I think people just like recognize, like, we're living in capitalism, and this is the way people market their business, and they acquire the naming rights, and that's that.
Because every person has become a product or a brand through their own Instagram account, so now everyone knows what it's like. And anyone, even if they have high moral standards, everyone steals their music. So everyone's like, fuck, I'm stealing music and I'm not willing to pay, so good on you for getting money any way you can.
Yeah.
So everyone's become a brand and everyone's become a thief.
What? Like with illegal downloads? Like with TVs and movies?
So whereas before it's like, I'm buying your album, I'm going to your shows. Now it's like, I'm stealing your album, so fucking get that Apple sponsorship.
One thought, though, I had when it comes to this subject is I really love old school stadiums that don't have corporate names. I was going to say Wrigley Field, but Wrigley Field is actually a corporate name because it's Wrigley Gum.
Yeah, which is like one of the oldest brands in America.
Yeah, but it's old enough to make me think that it's not like a bank. It's basically not a bank name. Like every stadium is named after a fucking bank, it feels like. Yeah. And that to me is kind of lame. Or like Tropicana Field or whatever. But like Fenway Park, that's just a dude's name.
Okay.
Right?
Comiskey?
Comiskey, that's not around. That's U.S. Cellular Field now.
Oh, shit.
If someone's willing to pay you X amount of dollars to have the naming rights, it's going to turn over every 5 years.
Dodger Stadium, though, is still just Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, but that Dodge cars.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm making it up.
Oh, okay. That'd be crazy.
They just add an R?
They didn't have to pay as much.
Yeah.
I always thought it would be interesting if a corporation was like, you know what? We're going to pay for the naming rights, but we're going to call it something that's meaningful to the neighborhood.
That would be fucking smart.
And it's like presented, and you could do like a little presented by Rogers or something, or presented by Scotiabank, but it's like, we're going to name it after a community activist, or we're going to name it after some family that was present in the neighborhood. It's like, so it's going to be called like Johnson Field.
No, okay, here's the issue with that. So I think in the moment when the press release comes out and all that stuff, I think the community feels good, people will feel good, but eventually the presented by or the byline, let's say Scotiabank, like let's say we called it, who's a prominent Canadian? Let's say we called it Terry Fox Arena, presented by Scotiabank. Eventually, people would just call it the Fox or Terry Fox. Yeah. And if you're the person that paid $100 million, you want that to be seared into their brain. So when these kids that grow up, because these kids are going to grow up loving the Leafs, and praise to all my Leaf fan friends, I guess they just got a big fish in John Tavares. Yeah. There's kids that are like, 8 now, and they're going to grow up loving the Leafs, and they're going to open a bank account in 5 years. And where are they going to want to open it? Probably the place where their hero plays.
Yeah.
Scotiabank's going to be burned into their brain.
Yeah.
That's what you buy.
That's how marketing works.
With
I
your
guess.
$100 million.
Yeah.
But Johnson Field, brought to you by Jurex Condoms. Wouldn't that be amazing? That'd be
Jurex
cool.
Condoms.
Yeah,
Johnson, like
because it's a dick.
Yeah.
Oh,
You didn't get it, Maxie.
fucking
so
idiot.
Sorry.
That was like a Bill Hader
First
character.
hater, now this.
Like, cut him some slack. He's hungover
Yeah.
and excited.
Could I ask you a question? And again, feel free to cut this out. People who wear those shoes, I always wondered why they're so popular. And you see everyone wearing them.
Max, tell people what you're wearing.
I'm wearing these Vans shoes. They're black, kind of suede with like a white line down either side, like a.
Do you notice
horizontal
these
line.
shoes everywhere?
Yeah.
Why are they so popular? Like, is
I don't
there
know.
a reason?
I have
do
no
you,
idea.
Do you love them, or do you feel like you've been influenced by your peer pressure?
Lauren just tells me what shoes are in because she has a
Ah.
hipster sister who isn't. So she's like, "Oh, you got to get the Adidas Gazelles because that's what's in right now, or the Nike Air Force Ones." Or so these ones I think are kind of on the outs, to be honest.
Because they got too popular.
Too popular, but I think. But when I got them like 9 months ago, I thought they were in. So Lauren just tells me.
So you don't care if you are actually wearing something that you like.
No, I don't really care.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, I always wanted to ask someone about that. It's
That's
like
fascinating.
Instagram.
Yeah.
One of the things actually last night when we were out that came up, we were drinking at Dan Hamilton's and listening to Chromeo before the big Showmeo. Thank you, Max.
See, that's the kind of thing that I
Johnson
understand.
Field, you didn't like?
I didn't get it. But if you do a stupid rhyme, I'm like, that's comedy.
We actually just talked to them, so they're going to be on the pod as well. We'll talk more about them on their episode. But while we were hanging out, we started talking about the new Paul McCartney song.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's called I believe, "Come On to You."
Yeah.
Come on to you.
So the song came up while we were having drinks, and almost simultaneously, Max is like, "Oh, did you hear the new McCartney song?" I was like, "Yeah," and then it was like that thing where he goes, "I love it," and I went, "I hate it," but we said it at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "What?" And then we both were like, "Save it for the pod."
Save it for the pod.
So I texted you, Shane, and I'm like, "Listen to that new McCartney song. We might discuss it on the pod tomorrow."
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I think it's completely average. It's funny.
You're
Like I'm right in the middle. Because I was like, there's no way anyone would think this was a great song. If this song just came on the radio, you wouldn't be like, turn it up. You would just be like, whatever. This is
Sure.
background music for a bar or something.
So I'll tell you my experience with that song. So I saw he had 2 new songs coming out. I was like kind of interested because I obviously love McCartney, love the Beatles. Now I gave them each a quick listen. Didn't really think anything of it. I was like, whatever. They just sound like an old guy singing, right? That's what he is. But then AJ Sanchez, our friend AJ,
He loves it.
who is a big music head, whose opinion I really think highly of when it comes to music. He texted me out of the blue saying, "Did you hear the new McCartney songs? They're fucking amazing." So I was like, if AJ really likes them, maybe I should give him another spin. And then I listened to them like a few times. I was on my bike, and I kind of have a pleasant memory of like riding down Queen Street in the summer on my bike. I was like, oh yeah, these songs are good. And McCartney is such a fucking musical genius that he does a cool thing in the bridge where it kind of changes keys. Like he basically does things musically that I would have never thought of in a million years. So even though on the surface it sounds like a very like kind of ordinary song, there are subtle musical genius moves that he does that as sort of a a student.
As an aspiring songsmith yourself.
Exactly. That I thought was
think
really
that
cool.
I don't
So-
think you're aspiring anymore. I think you've graduated, man.
Well, thank you.
Award-winning.
Yeah. Well,
You're a fucking bona fide award-winning songsmith.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
So then I was like, maybe I do love these songs. So it was more like one of those experiences where you're leaning on somebody else to tell you what you should think. You know how that happens sometimes?
Sure.
I do that, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, look at
because
Max's
AJ,
fucking shoes.
I know.
well, this is it. Because AJ liked it so much, and then I started seeing the goodness in it. That made me think, oh yeah, these are good songs. He still has it. Now, what was your experience with the song?
So we get sent like the labels will send us sort of like previews of songs or like so I got sent like an email with the 2 singles.
Yeah.
And so admittedly I only listened to it once. And this is the thing about I think legends and nobody loves like I've paid through my ass to see McCartney twice live. I love McCartney. I love the Beatles. I have a fucking Beatle lyric tattooed on my chest. But
Just say what it is.
I think that I don't know if it's because we grew up inherently with all these Beatles songs that they're great, so they're sort of ingrained in us. But whenever legends make new music, like if a new Elton John song comes out, they're never bangers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's rare when they're really good. I thought
Cher was maybe the last one to do it.
I Believe in Love.
Do you believe in love?
I will say the McCartney, Kanye, Rihanna song was great. I really like, or at least I go.
But there's two contemporary artists attached to that in the prime of their career.
I know.
Well, it was kind of, not that it was creepy, but I could feel people saying like, "Oh, is this guy just like scanning the bars, like looking for babes?"
Yes.
And it seems weird for a guy in his 75?
Yeah.
Like, how old
is
is this man?
70s? Yeah.
So that felt odd to me, but I did ignore it and just pretend that this was any songwriter ever, and I just was like, "Oh, put this in the average category."
Well, I was actually talking about this with Lauren's brother Luke about Paul McCartney as a songwriter, and what makes Paul exceptional is his sense of melody and his musicality. Lyrically, he's had some nice moments, but you wouldn't say that like he was the best writer. Like he's
Have
not
you heard "I Want to Hold Your Hand"?
right. But he's no like Bob Dylan. So I think
shots
no,
fired.
I'm talking about lyrically. He's no Bob Dylan, and I think everybody would agree
Melody
with
is the
that.
most important thing, though.
You're right, and that's why he's more famous and successful than Bob Dylan. But I think there's two different. Like I think a good writer can age really well when it comes to lyric writing or literature. So there's guys like Philip Roth or like authors that have written their best stuff when they were 66 or something like that, right? And Luke just saw John Prine, and John Prine is like a celebrated singer-songwriter known for his lyrics, and he put out a new record, and the lyrics are as good and as cutting as they ever have been. But McCartney, that was never his strength, and so he's just sort of. I think the lyric is probably no worse than anything that he did in the Beatles. He just is an old guy singing them. He doesn't have the boyish charm to it in the presentation. Mm-hmm. So I think when we think about like our favorite pop stars aging, if they're not cutting writers, then they're not going to age as well.
Fascinating.
Because Dylan, one of Dylan's most covered songs ever is "Make You Feel My Love," which is from his '98 record. Which was a kind of 1998. Like his first big song came out.
Yeah,
in
he'd already been
1962.
famous for.
What's the melody to that?
Adele covered it. It's like it's every wedding song basically. To make you feel my love. That's like kind of the refrain.
Right.
I'm a fan of "The Man in Me" from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's a great song. That's from like the 70s or something.
Yeah,
he wrote that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
On that track specifically, his voice sounds, because everyone does their Bob Dylan. On "The Man in Me," he actually kind of does it straight. Like the guy can sing.
Well, have you heard "Lay Lady Lay" like that one? Mm-hmm. It's a completely different guy on that.
Well, do you know the story about Lay Lady Lay? So the story with that one, not to get into too much like rock and roll Alan Cross history here, is that there was like a brief moment in recording history where a couple pop acts or rock acts recorded the song and then sped up the tape. And so they don't actually sound like themselves. So "Lay Lady Lay" is an example of that. And "Hungry Heart" by Bruce Springsteen also doesn't really kind of sound like Bruce
But his
Springsteen.
voice sounds deeper on that one.
Or they fucked with the tape.
Lay.
Lay, lady, lay. Like it's weird.
Okay.
And "Hungry Heart" is the same thing. It's like, why does Bruce Springsteen sound different? But it was like this period in 1977 or 78. I'm probably getting those dates wrong.
Weird.
Where they just did this weird, quirky thing and then never happened again. There's like two big songs.
Huh.
Yeah, look it up.
All right.
Did you guys watch the Carpool Karaoke?
I did.
Oh, you know what? I started it and then I didn't finish it. That's how
And this is the thing. Like, I love McCartney so much. I went home very drunk and I decided to watch the Carpool Karaoke. And I teared up.
I was gonna say, did you start crying?
I did.
Yeah.
But it was like 2:30 in the morning. And I don't know. It was just so joyful and happy. And the way that, like, Corden, you sort of see it through Corden's eyes, right? You sort of live the experience with him, with this legend, and then what the Beatles and Paul McCartney mean to people will always be. I mean, I talked about this after I saw him in concert. Like, it's all that, and I think they captured it in the Carpool Karaoke.
When he went to the person's house, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's just working in television. Obviously, I think about the behind the scenes and the organization and what's fake spontaneous and what's real spontaneous. And I can't help but think about behind the curtain. So that ruins it a lot. And sometimes when they make people like do surprised faces when I know that's not their natural reaction, it does take me out of it a little bit. That being said, it was awesome. It was obviously the best one for many reasons. It's the best, biggest star, and they went on emotional angle instead of comedy, which they normally do.
Yeah.
Speaking of behind the scenes, this is kind of unrelated, but we played a show in Timmins on the weekend.
With the Beach Boys.
So that's a whole other story. Maybe that's for another pod. But our final song was Whitney Houston Dance With Somebody.
Yeah.
And I noticed out of the corner of my eye, there was a security guard in the pit, like totally keeping to himself, but I could see him mouthing the lyrics along. Mm-hmm. And then, so I was like, I'm pulling this guy up on stage because it'd be fucking hilarious. And you can see it on our Instagram. And so I'm like, yo, so I pull him on stage. I give him the mic, and then he starts, and he looked very subdued. Like when he was in the pit, he was just sort of mouthing the words along. He wasn't like into it. He wasn't even really looking at us. He grabs the mic and starts working the whole stage. He's getting the audience to wave their hands
And
back
he did
and
not
forth.
have a good voice.
He was okay, but he just like, and I just like gave him the mic, and just he finished the set, and it was an awesome moment. But I was telling your brother this, and he was like, "It's like it looks so fake."
It did. I was thinking about it.
Well, that's it. It wasn't fake, but it looked like one of those things on the Jumbotron when there's like a plant in the audience who ends up being like an amazing dancer or something like that.
This was not pre-planned.
It wasn't pre-planned at all, but it was so good that it looked pre-planned.
That was probably the greatest night of that guy's life, though. Eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Omar, man.
After the set, was Omar like, "Hey man, thank you."
Yeah, I
Like,
just gave him a big hug and.
well, when he left his post, a bunch of people flooded to the stage. So he lost his job immediately after that.
Yeah, we got our stuff stolen. Yeah, Omar got fired.
Everything in the green room was stolen after because security was on stage fucking around.
Linkin was our last line of defense.
Max, what are you doing? Guys, are you ready to get to Mike Shinoda?
Hell yes.
Were you guys Linkin Park fans?
No. I wasn't. Like, I'm not going to lie.
No, I wasn't either. But Lauren's first email address was like Linkin Park Chick 92 or
No
something
way!
at hotmail.com. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were, I don't know, too intelligently dark for me growing up. And I was very humorous in school.
Yeah, they're just too dark for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the subject matter was just.
Yeah, I was too silly, not humorous. I was just like very lighthearted and silly.
Yeah, people that were I had the same experience. People that were into Linkin Park heavily, like in that early 2000s, whatever it was, there was an intensity and like kind of a seriousness to their fans in particular that like were very devoted to it and really related to the music and the lyrics, and it was a relationship I just wasn't a part of really.
Yeah, but
It was everywhere though. It was all over.
oh,
Those songs are
biggest
massive.
band ever. And I remember they headlined the first Edge Fest that we did. And I just remember being so impressed because they had like their own backstage compound with like a workout room, and like all their families were there. I was like, wow, these guys are like really making a lot of money. And but you know what? When Chester passed, and it's obviously so tragic, listening back to those songs on the radio when they come on, you're like, oh man, like this was real. Like sometimes I just think that like songwriters don't necessarily feel the pain, or like it's more just storytelling or something.
Yeah.
Not even
Or it's
faking
cooler
it.
to.
Yeah, it's like they know their angle of like we're going to be the Prince of Darkness or something like that. And,
Yeah.
But then when you hear those lyrics back and know that he's gone, it's just like fuck. Like the songs actually have hit me more in the last year.
Of course, yeah.
You know, obviously very interesting to talk to Mike, and we were excited because, like we said, he is a part of one of the biggest bands in the world, and obviously everything that happened in the last year, as you know, something worth talking about for sure. And we get into all of that, including how the media talks about stuff like suicide, the language they use, the verbiage, and he's sort of unwittingly now become a person that this is his new reality, where he has to speak to these things.
It's like life altering.
It
It
is.
really is.
Obviously for Chester's family and friends, but then of course for a guy like Mike or even Linkin Park going forward. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. It's not one of our longer interviews. He was a pretty busy boy, but I was happy to sit down with him because he was a good conversation. Want to get to it?
Let's get to it.
How you been?
Good. Hi.
Hi.
How are we? Are we good on?
I'm just going for it, man.
Yeah,
'Cause we
cool.
only got 15, so
Yeah, please jump in.
you been doing a lot of press.
Yeah, I've been doing some. I just got in. We like got we had we missed a flight last night, so it was a
Oh, shit.
hectic night last night.
Where were you coming from?
New York.
Oh, New York. Okay,
Yeah.
so you missed the flight.
Yeah, I like did a whole thing about it on my Instagram.
Oh,
this
like a
morning.
story.
It was. They have a brand new thing called Instagram TV.
I read that.
Yeah.
So how is it? The platform.
I did an Instagram TV episode. I edited it. I shot and edited it on my phone and edited in iMovie. Apple is not one of my sponsors, so I'm just saying that because that's how I did it.
It's the
But I've been
truth.
doing with this album. I've been doing a lot of. It's very DIY. Like I've done that before when I did my Fort Minor side project like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But this one is like I did like 90% of the writing and recording myself. The videos, all the earliest videos on the project, I shot and edited myself, and stuff like that is just kind of part of how I've been wanting to do things. It's just there's a spontaneity and a control of it that I've been enjoying.
It's part of your nature, man.
I mean, yeah, it'd be one thing if it was I was doing it and everybody around me was like, I remember when I first started doing some of the video, like I did a video for Place to Start, which is the first song on the album, and Over Again. I kind of did both, and I sent them to management, and I was like, I'm thinking like something like this, like maybe we, have somebody shoot, blah blah blah, and everybody responded like, why would you reshoot this? Like, this is the video.
This is it.
Isn't this the video?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't want to be presumptuous. Like, I think it looks cool, but you really think it's okay to do this? They were like, why not? So, and that was actually in the back of my head anyway. I was really happy to get the kind of the green light from people on it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of this record, a friend of our pod is Christine, K.Flay.
Nice.
Who you obviously collaborated with on this.
Best.
So of all the people she's great, that you could have collaborated with, why her? What's the story there?
I remember just hearing the first time I heard her music when it first came out, I was like, what is this? And I don't know how I first got in touch with her, but she came down to the studio like 2 years ago, even more, I think. And we just hung out. Like, she's just a cool person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I love, we meet a lot of musicians, and think about all the people you meet, the people like you got certain things in common with some people and you don't with other people. And with her, she's a really smart and thoughtful person, and she's a very confident. I feel like as in terms of being a role model, like she's just getting better and better each year. Like she's really confident and really a good person for people to follow. So I was like, if I can direct people towards her, like I might be doing good for the world because she's a good person. Yeah, I don't know. But I think she's cool. And yeah, the collabos on the record, like we did that song with her. I did the song "Make It Up As I Go," and we'd actually gotten together. We'd started that song with the intention of making it a Linkin Park song. We started it back, 2 years ago or something, and our guitarist Brad was he helped out on that song too. He co-wrote on that song, and it just the only thing that was like really right was the chorus and the chords, and it wasn't. I knew it was going to take too much to get it done in time to be on One More Light. So we just kind of put it on the back burner. And this year I just really kind of went back and really related to that chorus. And so I wrote the rest around that.
So let's pull it back out again.
Yeah, I mean, that's how music works for me.
Of course, yeah. I think for a lot of people, we talk to so many artists and they say that there's always sort of songs floating around all over the place that can be malleable or maybe aren't right at the right time and then they become right later. It's interesting you mentioned she could be a good role model. You've been in one of the sort of the biggest bands of the last 20 years. And with that comes power and responsibility. Did you always frame that as like, we're speaking to people. This is something that like I take seriously. Are you cognizant of that? Or are you more like, I'm a musician, I'm going to put my art out and...
Oh, I mean, we obviously didn't start out that way. Like, I don't think anybody... No, that's not true. I think some people they get into music for different reasons, right? Some people want to get in it. There's people who want, music is a means to getting money or fame or girls or whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, I always did music as a hobby, and my main focus was actually art. So I would paint and draw, and I graduated from Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, and I got a bachelor's in illustration and went into doing illustration and graphic design work while I was doing the band on the weekends. Band was playing good shows in LA, but it was still a hobby.
Yeah.
And I was paying the bills with the illustration and graphic design work and then spending all my money on music. So that's where I was coming from, was like, if I had $50 to spend, I'd go down to the record store and like buy some new music, or I'd save up and get a new keyboard or some cables for my production setup. It just translates to how I see it now, how I do it now. Like I love this last year has been really difficult. And I one of the first things I needed to do was to be creative and use like even if it was just like doodling, or like painting abstract colors and whatever, or if it was just sitting down with a guitar or a piano and just jamming a little bit, those things helped me like focus and it was like meditative and helped me sort through my brain.
Interesting. So then, like, it always starts sort of like at the art level, what you're doing for yourself, what you're putting out there. I guess I'm talking more like sort of macro, meaning like when you become famous or you have a voice, what does that voice mean? Or, when you're speaking to legions of fans, is that something that weighs on you? Or is it more like, hey, I'm just a musician like anybody else?
I think it's more of just an awareness. Like somebody once said to me, imagine whenever you're on social media,
sure,
imagine yourself on a stage, like look at your number of followers and imagine yourself on a stage with that many human beings in front of you listening. How differently would you speak? Because many people, when they speak on social media, they just kind of blabber whatever crap is on their mind. I always remember that I have I'm standing on a platform with a bunch of people who are human beings, and they're all very different. They're from countries all over the world. They have all different backgrounds and belief systems, and they're just different. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm speaking to them. Like even to the extent that somebody will ask, tell me something that's very like I'm from LA, so like it might be very LA centric. It could be something as simple, like think of it as ridiculous as like, man, this restaurant's really good. Like, I'm not going to put that on my Twitter. Like 99.9% of my Twitter lives somewhere other than LA.
It's inaccessible.
Yeah, they can't even, the fans in Brazil don't give a crap about that. But with that said, this is one of the things, like speaking of platform, one of the things that I'm realizing now with the kind of record that I've made and the conversations that the fans and I and others, new fans, are having, is that we are talking a lot about mental health. We're talking a lot about, I guess role models and people being able to express their feelings and let go of some of that pressure that they're feeling inside. And I'm doing my best to help out because I'm doing that work myself, right? One thing that I realized, this is a bit of a segue, but it is exactly what you were talking about a little bit earlier. I realized recently that there are probably more influencers today than there have ever been on the planet ever, because the average person, one minute they've got like 15 followers and they're in their bedroom at their parents' house, and the next minute they have like a few thousand. Maybe they've got more, right? And they don't think of themselves as an influencer. They just think like, oh, cool, I've got a lot of followers now,
and I'm just living my life.
Yeah, and that's like a status thing or whatever. What comes with that is the responsibility. One responsibility, for example, is some of those people who are following you they might deal with depression. They might deal with suicidal thoughts. And if you are not careful about what you say, you might put down a landmine for them that when they hit, it hits them hard. So I say that because recently when we're talking about, for example, like Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, it came up again, these when people were talking about what had happened, the language they were using sometimes got very dramatic. It got very graphic. And then they started bringing up Chester again. They started bringing up Chris Cornell, and even further back, like Kurt Cobain.
Of course,
yeah. You got to be so careful, man. I mean, in the best practices, like there's a bunch of sites that will talk about best practices for journalists. Some of the best practices are say died by suicide, not committed suicide. Make sure to be careful with your word choice in your titles. Certainly don't be over dramatic or graphic in your titles or your piece, because if I'm just browsing my Twitter feed,
you're talking about headlines.
Headlines.
Yeah.
Because if I'm browsing my Twitter feed and that headline pops up and it's something really kind of gnarly, that person who has that visualization in their mind, it could really trigger somebody, and nobody wants to be responsible for that. No one wants to do that to another human being.
Well, I mean, and that's a fascinating thought too, because you would think that like sort of empathetic, forward-thinking people wouldn't, but for some people, it's their job to write those headlines in order to have that. I mean, I don't think they necessarily want to trigger anything, and I mean, I guess it's just more a comment on practices anyway, and sort of clickbait and all of this shit. But it's like, it seems like there's people out there that work in those industries whose job depends on getting those clicks that are constructing those headlines for that reason.
So that being the case, will always be, a good and evil in the world. To me, that's evil. And to listeners who believe that way or similarly, you have power. Like everyone's power is their attention. Your attention is currency, in other words. So if I see something and I click on it, I'm giving, let's say it's a news article. Let's say it's a news article. I'm increasing the clicks through. The algorithms are picking up my activity, and that publication's getting ad revenue. They're literally making money because you clicked. Now, if you clicked because you were curious and you went, oh man, I hate that guy. I hate what he's saying. I'm going to click on that. You read it. You go, yep, still an idiot. I still hate him. Just reaffirms my, that negative feeling. But guess what? You just paid everybody that you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's
by
the problem,
participating,
because you participated. So if we can if we can like take a step back and just be like, oh man, it's another one of those articles about that thing that I hate, like, then don't click. And that's the moment when you have actually like voted against that thing.
That's your power.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's your power. I like swallowed my spit. You said it.
Do you want some water, or you got it?
I'm okay.
Okay. We're getting to wrap it up. So I guess I'll finish with, I'm kind of interested always on this podcast, the process, the minutia of the work, and in a larger sense, meaning like obviously you're an artist who's going to make music, but then also there's this whole construct, which is like sort of the business of music.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by, like, you've made this record and you've talked a lot about, why you made it and how you made it. And obviously a lot of subjects are going to come up in the press. Yeah. Do you find the press has been difficult? Just even the function of talking about it? Or are you someone that's like, you know what, let's get out, let's talk?
I'm pretty open, as long as the person I'm talking to is respectful. I'm also forgiving if somebody's just, uncomfortable and they just hit a certain topic where they don't kind of know how to say it.
Sure.
We're human. That's fine. So I've gone out and done, I've done a bunch of stuff, interviews and performances and all that stuff now, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Like the main thing is that I'm proud of the album that I made. Like, Post Traumatic is an album that's basically like a diary. Yeah. It's an autobiography, capturing like the last year from when Chester passed away to now. And it starts in a really dark place, but the whole point is that it's post-traumatic. It's not about the trauma. It's about how do I deal with it? Like, what did I do this year? Actually, not even what I do, but what did I experience? Where did my brain go? And the first half of the album is more looking backwards at the event, and then it slowly starts to change direction to the future and hope. And by the end of the record, I feel like it's a very hopeful record. My friend actually joked that there's a couple songs that are like just straight up like battle rapping. And my friend was like, Mike, when I heard you just straight up dissing other rappers, which I don't do by name, it's just a stylistic thing. But he's like, when I heard you just basically, spitting these rhymes, he's like, I knew you were going to be just fine. Because that's where I come from. That's like one of the most natural things.
Getting back to...
Me. Yeah. It's very much like, it is, I've told you, it's like finding a new normal. Because things can't be the same. But I do have to find a new way to do what I've always loved to do. And I'm figuring that out.
Thanks so much for your time, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I wish we had a little longer, because you're obviously a very fascinating guy to talk to.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Cheers. Welcome to the dessert. We are here with our friend and pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. Shane, how are you today?
Good. I'm here to promote digital desserts.
Oh.
So you're like a guest on the show that's like hawking their new movie or album or something.
I always forget to promote the digital dessert. And we have a YouTube channel, but I'm guessing most people are listening to this through a podcast app or their iPhone, and they kind of forget that we even are on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the Jersey Shore one I did, which
Very
I think
funny.
a lot of people seem to be who are watching it like it.
I thought it was your best one.
Yeah, that's the first thing you said. So that one has 358 views and one comment on YouTube.
Okay, we'll get them up.
right
They're
now.
very funny, by the way.
Thank you.
They are great. It's funny. You kind of have to watch them to get it, because if you try to describe it to somebody, it's
I'm
usually...
going to get to that, Max.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Because we had a big meeting. I'll dance around it because I don't want to jinx anything. But typically when we have a meeting for the pod, not that we've had too many, everyone obviously knows who Mike is because his namesake is part of the name of the pod. And Max is like the biggest superstar in Canada, as you're always saying.
As he's always saying.
And then people look at me and they're kind of like, who really is this guy?
Yeah.
And is he necessary to even be on the pod? A lot of people just think I'm like Mike's buddy who just happens to get into the meeting. And I can tell because when the people are talking, they're largely ignoring me. And I'm like, I guarantee these fucking people have no idea who I am. And I may be doing digital desserts, or at least I thought I would be, with maybe amping it up with a professional camera crew might be an option.
Yeah.
But when we proposed this during the meeting where no one knew who I was, they were like, digital dessert. What the fuck is that kind of thing? Without swearing, that's what they were saying, and that's what their faces were saying. And Max is like, oh man, they're so great. He's like, you guys know Dashboard? They're like, yeah. It's like, he was in there with him, and he's wearing like a low V-neck, and Shane's like telling him like, oh, why are you wearing that low V-neck? And then they get into explaining why, and he's denying it. And Max is doing his best to sell it, but it's just dead silent. It's absolutely dead. And I'm like, no, trust me. They're better than that. You kind of have to watch them. It's really hard to describe. And then someone's like, wait. Do these artists know that you're kind of joking around with them? And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, we're going to have to look into these. Like a guy said something like that. And I was
Like they're going to get shut down now.
yeah. So I'm just sitting there livid because like I've been fucking around with people for, honestly, I'm 35 now. I started when I was 15-ish. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I've never had a celebrity get mad at me.
Yeah. Can I add to that too?
Yeah.
Just don't explain comedy again.
Yeah, I was with Matt Savelli, and because he had been to a country show, went to see Keith Urban, and I said, "Oh man, Shane did this hilarious digital dessert with this country band called the Reclaws, who are like very good-looking country acts." And he did this thing where, even though they're brother and sister, he opened the interview as if they're dating, and I was like so excited to tell him all about it, and Matt just goes, "Really? He did that to them?"
Yeah.
I was like, no, but it was funny. It was so funny. And Matt Savell was just like, okay. And Matt's got a good sense of humor too.
See, I hate that. That makes me so uncomfortable.
Well, no, but this is it. What we learned is that I just need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. If these people are listening, I'm not good at a lot of stuff. But
As we know, they turn it off after the interview.
clearly.
You're fine.
The one thing I'm kind of have a talent for is being able to do stuff and never having people get mad at me.
Yeah.
To Shane's point, he's 100% right. Like whenever like we all part after that, like their people are always like, that was so fun.
Yeah.
Like no one's ever been like, thanks, bud, or
Yeah.
send me that. You know, it's like they enjoy your company.
I was so fuming during this meeting, just like, oh my God. But I know I had a digital dessert the next day to shoot with Classified. And I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be a really good one. And they were asking for us to send review links of the digital dessert. So I'm like, oh, I got the best one coming up, because Classified's new album, the subject matter of it is about female empowerment, et cetera, et cetera. I just had a little girl. So I'm going to bring in my 7-week-old daughter and have Classified give her an empowering speech. But to make sure it doesn't fuck up or nothing goes wrong, typically I just shoot it with one little iPhone. I'm going to bring in 5 cameras. So I bring in my Canon 60D, which is a good one. my wife's iPhone, which shoots good quality, my iPhone on another tripod, an HD GoPro, which is very good quality, and the Cobra Cam. So I set up all the cameras so I can get every angle so I don't miss anything. And I have this funny idea when I bring my daughter in, and I don't trust many people to like hold my daughter or manipulate her. So I have, and my wife's like distractingly hot, so I don't want classified like staring at my wife. So I put my wife head to toe in an all black like ninja outfit. So you know when you see a puppeteer on stage and they have a puppet, they're usually wearing black so they're not distracting. So I had her wearing a ski mask, black sunglasses, black jeans, a black turtleneck, so you cannot see my wife's face at all. So we're rolling, and I have Mike on the cameras.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mike, okay, this one camera shuts off after 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So if it goes longer than 12, you got to make sure that to hit record again. This camera, I think I have enough storage in because I've deleted a bunch of videos on my iPhone, and my wife's should be fine. So I'm like, as long as you follow that, everything will be cool.
And when Alex comes in, you also have to film on your phone from the baby's perspective. So I was also filming something else the minute the baby came in.
Yes. So
A lot of jobs for one man.
Yada, yada, end up shooting the thing. I go to get the footage. 3 of the cameras cracked out, like malfunctioned. As I'll tell you how they did. As soon as the baby came in the door. So the one gag I was relying on have 0 footage. The one iPhone ran out of space at 8 minutes. The other iPhone ran out of space at 7 minutes. The main camera that was on classified that kind of gets the wide shot, the most important shot, ran out after 12 minutes, and my wife came in at 12:01. Editor's note, ironically, the Cobra Cam was the only camera that kept rolling, and I am recording this VO on the Cobra Cam right now. And I'm pissed, but I can't be mad at Mike, because Mike had a million jobs.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, so I'm standing behind 3 cameras. The left iPhone goes down. My job is to get the baby when it comes in on my phone and then follow it onto the set. So I immediately, when I see that phone is out of storage, I go and start just filming it. But this is the crucial mistake. I abandon the middle camera, which is the most important camera. So I miss that it cuts at 12 because now the baby's coming in and I'm going on to set to film. A lot going on, but I'm sorry.
I'm seriously not mad at you. I understand.
I should have remembered the middle camera though. That one I should have remembered.
You just had an interview. You come off.
True.
I give you like 3 orders. We didn't have a dress rehearsal. So I'm just kind of reflecting on my life. And I'm like, this is shit. Like, I'm trying so hard to do something. No one appreciates it. No one's watching it. I got 358 views on YouTube. 1 comment. And by the way, the 1 comment was by Emily, and she said, "So funny, Shane, the best one yet."
No.
There you go.
So, I'm feeling kind of down. So I'm like, I got to go to extreme measures here. I'm like, what can I do? Okay, I'm going to buy a camera, like the best consumer camera that all the vloggers are using. I consult with a bunch of people. Buy that camera. Buy it. Buy the tripod. Buy all the stuff. So this camera does not run out of recording time. Like my Canon 60D, you have to constantly hit record after 12 minutes.
It has a built-in trigger to stop recording if for some reason.
Why would a camera stop recording after 12 minutes? I don't know, Canon. But anyway, so that's one. Take care of that. Like, what else are we missing here? I need an intern. I need someone to help me. Because I can't rely on Mike. Can't rely on you. You know, you hate these desserts. Like showing up for them. You enjoy watching them and telling people horribly how good they are.
So, all with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited.
How did you get your job, Mike?
Oh, through the VJ search.
So they had a contest, a nationwide contest, and Mike made, out of thousands and thousands of submissions, you made
top 8. Yeah.
Then my other friend, Mark Myers, he, out of thousands of submissions, submitted, and he became a Much Music intern.
That's right.
And then for me, I was inspired by all of these people winning contests. So I decided to enter an MTV contest for an internship, ended up winning it, got hired through that. So I'm like, geez, like.
You're also leaving out Menard.
Oh, my friend Sean Menard, who directed The Carter Effect, he won a contest.
The score.
Yeah.
On-air personality.
He was top 5 in the contest, and that led to him getting a job. And Max, like you didn't win a contest, but you just did something very unconventional.
Yeah.
It paid off.
Yeah.
I was thinking of having a Shane's Digital Dessert intern contest.
That's so funny. You know what? I know exactly where you're going with this.
You don't even have to run a contest. We got one.
We got someone for you.
Who?
A friend of the pod.
Is it Bill Hader?
Friend of a friend.
A friend of a friend.
What?
We've been lobbied.
Yeah.
What? What does that mean?
A dear friend of ours said, you know what? I have someone who's young and really keen to work in media. She's in school at Ryerson. And I said, no, that's a great idea. We can, we've helped people with padding the resume before. There's a certain character on the show who got his job because he made up something involving Arkell's Music Inc. and put that on his resume.
We'll bleep that.
We'll bleep that. And so I'm all about lying on resumes. And so if we can actually throw her a bone, make her do some stuff, get some coffee, whatever interns do, she can put it on her resume. It's incredibly relevant to her career. And also, we're empowering women. This is just an old white boys club right now. We need to have some females in here.
Is she black?
No.
It's a start. Girl.
But anyway, that would be, you can run your contest if you want, but
Okay.
How
old?
22.
Okay, I had some criteria here. Let me
Okay, let's see. I'll tell you if she has it.
Okay, I have
By
a
the way,
rule.
I've already texted her.
Okay.
And
No,
Rev, you really?
Like 2 hours ago, yeah.
I just
no sketch bags.
Not sketchy at all.
Can't be late. I hate late people.
I think, according to our one friend, she does show up late for dates.
Really? I don't like that.
But in a professional context, who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
Has to have basic common sense. You don't have to be smart, but you can't be dumb.
Yeah, I think she's got that. She's cool.
Okay. A worry wart. I like that.
She is a worry wart.
And she has to live within an hour and a half.
She lives right down the street.
And I had this for the pros, like advantages to kind of lure people in. They'll get to meet celebs.
Yeah.
I'll have a pic with them. Like at the end of each digital dessert, we'll take pictures with this celebrity.
Oh, nice.
They get to meet Mike and Max.
Yeah.
I'll feature them in a dessert where we kind of get to know them.
I like it.
And
You're offering more than they're getting.
they'll get a signed picture of you.
Of me.
Yes. Because I think we do get a lot of Arkell's fans.
Yeah.
So we have this person.
We have the person.
See, well, I mean, it's Shane's intern, though.
Yeah,
Shane
here's the thing,
he gets a say in it.
Maybe she can be part of the contest. Maybe that's all we can ask of you right now.
She gets a guaranteed entry into the contest. That's what the...
Well, I can have a couple interns.
She's an army of interns following you around the
There's
office.
5 cameras going at all times on these, you know?
That'd be great, Shane. If like for your normal day job that you just had
It's like a Seinfeld episode.
Who are all those people by Shane's desk?
It's just like lackeys, just like waiting to get him lunch and shit. Oh man, that'd be amazing.
Okay. So I had a VO guy make like an ad for me, but we can roll that and let's just see. Like, I don't want to rule people out.
There you go. Let's put this out there.
Put it out
if
there.
you're interested, give us your best shit.
Hold on, maybe she texted me back. Let's see what she said.
Let's forget about her for a second.
No, she's in the running for sure. So the way to apply is through Mike on Much Instagram.
Yeah.
You can DM and just send me a brief video. Tell me about yourself and tell me anything you want to know. Your age isn't even important. Like if
You're actually not allowed to ask that.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You can disclose your age if you want. Not really relevant. I can usually tell by looking at you. And then just tell me why you want to do this, what your goals are, and a little bit about yourself. And then we'll go through those submissions and we'll throw, what's this person's name?
Can't say.
Okay. We'll throw, why can't we say it?
No, we should.
So may the best man or woman win.
Great.
Shane's Digital Dessert Intern. Meet celebrities, make connections, learn about the industry, and most importantly, get a signed picture of Max Kerman from the band Arkells. Be Shane's Digital Dessert Intern. To apply, DM Mike on Much on Instagram, and Webby D will narrow down the selections. And remember, the pay is low, but the experience is worth a lot of money.
That's it. That's all. That's our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Mike Shinoda for coming on. Check out his album, Post Traumatic.
The Mike on Much podcast can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Mike on Much. Huge thank you to Jenna Gregory and Tara Paquette for putting together the artwork. Huge thanks to Bill Hader for hanging out with me in the elevator. And
Future podcast. Bill
Future
Hader.
podcast. What else we got?
That's that.
Yeah, subscribe to the show. Tell your friends.
Please do. The Michael Much Podcast is produced by Max Kerman. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. See you next week if we don't die on the weekend.